Hey guys, and welcome back to Unfiltered AF. I am your host, Mandy, and this is my lovely unofficial co-host and bestie with the mostest, Sasha. Say
Hello,
hey.
hello.
Yeah. Today, we are back to talk to you guys about really interesting topic. I think a lot of people can get something from it, and it is why raising your standards sometimes means that you have to leave some people behind and that it's okay. And how it might feel a little bit lonely when you first start out on a fitness journey of any type, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's like a health protocol, whether it's bodybuilding. It's very normal to feel lonely when you first start out. But again, it's okay. So this is a topic I think that literally anyone that's ever tried to better themselves in any way, shape, or form can relate to. Because, as the old cliche saying goes, you can only be as good as the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you do make a change, if you do want to be healthier and you're hanging out with a bunch of people that like to binge drink or eat out 4 days a week on, you know, Taco Bell vendors, I'm only laughing because I've been there before. Um, hanging around people like that and you start to change your lifestyle, you might get some flack for it, and it can be incredibly isolating and lonely at first. So, Sash, if you don't mind, can you share your experience? Even though I know you've always kind of been athletic in sports and dance, can you share your experience about when you started to consciously make a lifestyle shift to things that were healthier and what you felt like from your friends and family when that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I would be more than happy to. And before I do that, I just want to put it out there that let me think. Yeah. There is not a single person who is currently in my life that was in my life like 4 or 5 years ago. And during this time is when I've had the biggest change in my lifestyle in the last 5 years. So everyone that is currently in my life are like new people, let's
Mm-hmm.
put it that way. Like there's no one from my past of when I was unhealthy and wasn't living the kind of lifestyle that I'm living now that are still in my life. And that happened from just like falling off from one another, that happened from just having like breaks in the friendships and going our separate ways and not seeing eye to eye. And when I started making the conscious decision to live a healthier life, it definitely ruffled feathers. It ruffled feathers within friendships. It ruffled feathers in family settings. It ruffled feathers. It ruffled feathers for me because I was very conflicted of what am I willing to do to get to where I want to go because I know that I'm not happy with where I am. And when I started changing things in my life with fitness and with the way that I eat and with the way that I train and paying more attention to those things, I also started paying more attention to, okay, I didn't have boundaries here. Okay, I let people walk over me here. Okay, like it almost became that once I started building a stronger body, I started building a stronger mind too. Because it wasn't just going to the gym and eating healthier, it was I picked up my first self-help book and I started understanding more about myself and I started looking more inwards and I started looking at the people who are around me and how they didn't align with certain things. And I was also the person that I really tried to take everyone with me. I really tried to get everyone into my lifestyle, like not purposely get them in my lifestyle, but show them the benefits of living this lifestyle and how much it's helping me and how much it changed my life for the better. And, momentarily here and there were some people that followed along, but then it just wasn't as important to them as living the life that they were living, and that didn't align with me. So it was very conflicting. It was extremely lonely. And haven't fully really shared about this on like social media, like how lonely and how exhaustingly upset, like just like how hard my first prep was for me. And when I moved down to Florida and had to completely wipe my slate clean, and I was like, I'm starting from scratch. I'm gonna meet people who are in the same kind of world as me. I'm going, and if I don't, I don't. Like, I was in a place where I was like, if I live my life solo, but I know that I'm living it with like good and I'm like taking care of myself myself and whatever, like it's bound to be that I will come across people that are in that way, but I wasn't running after it. Like I was putting
Mhm.
myself in environments where I could come across those people, but I wasn't chasing after it. So there was a window that it was very rough.
What were some of the things that you experienced with those people? Like, if you're open to sharing that, like, does any one
Um,
thing stick out where you were like, ooh, I can't have you in my life right now?
yeah, the just oh, so many things stick out, but just the extreme, it was almost like making fun of me. Like almost like getting
Yes.
like made fun of for tracking my food, for bringing my meals with me, and it could have been in like a jokingly way, but now it's like my fiance will sometimes like laugh at me of like, oh, like when I was in prep, like, oh, you're measuring your salt again, and like that was like like that was like good humor. Like it was like I
Mhm.
could tell by just the way that it was. It wasn't in a way of like, oh, what the hell's wrong with you measuring your sodium? Like if anything, he was like, you're crazy, but it's okay because I love you. Like, do your thing, you know? Versus here, I like just even thinking about it, like I just remember always feeling so judged, like judged for carrying
Mhm.
around my gallon, judged for, and it wasn't, there was no curiosity. There was like straight up like, she's weird. What is she doing? Like, does she think she's better than us because she's doing this? Does she, like, and I was like there I'm only trying to be better than me, and if I can influence you in a best way possible, like I'm here for it, but I'm not trying to be better than anyone
Mhm.
other than me. And there was like I always felt so like I had to be smaller than myself in those
Mhm.
specific friendships, and it was very discouraging. And it was kind of like I either take the path of being on my bodybuilding journey, becoming a bodybuilder, and like doing these things that I was like dying to do, like to be a fitness coach, to be a health coach, to learn more, to be in that world, or have those friendships. Like
Yeah.
that, this was where I was. And
Oh,
I chose what didn't feel comfortable, but has changed my entire life.
for the better.
For the
Yeah.
better, literally
Oh,
hands down. I could not imagine not having made that decision.
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Do you, like looking back on it now, knowing what you know, do you kind of see, especially because you also said you started buying self-help books and like not just
Yeah.
trying to get healthier physically, but also like that mental and emotional growth. Um, Looking back now, do you see aspects where some of those friendships you could be like, oh, now I understand, like maybe there was some projection there and it
Yeah.
wasn't like it wasn't necessarily like about you, but more about them, and they were just kind of throwing that at you.
Yeah, I definitely see some projection. I'm never the person, and I don't want it to get taken of like they were jealous, but like I was doing things that I think at least one of them she wanted to, and she tried to, and like she was in great shape at a certain point in her life, and like things were going really good. And then it just I think that because I was doing things that they were kind of interested, but not enough to actually do them. Like there could have been some jealousy. There was definitely projection. And on my end, I stuck around for as long as I did because it wasn't just with them that I experienced that. I experienced it with my family to some extent. I
Mhm.
experienced it. It was like between them and my family, I was like, all right, like there might be something wrong with me. Like I might
Mhm.
be just doing something that is so, and it was out of the ordinary for like our little group. Like no one in my family, no one in my friend group, like my old friend group, no one, I didn't even know what competitive bodybuilding was until I started going to the gym. Like I had no idea about this world. And it's like I got sucked in like a freaking vacuum in point 0.5 seconds because I've always, like you mentioned, I've always been an athlete. I've always been invested. So it's like before competitive bodybuilding, you can ask me anything about gymnastics. I knew about gymnastics, like, or about dance. Like I was on top of that. But I was the odd one out. I was always the odd one out. being
Mhm.
like doing what I was doing. And that was, there was definitely stuff that was being projected onto me, but I was also taking it on the chin because I thought that I was doing something wrong almost and
Mhm.
like on what everyone's used to.
Yeah.
And that also felt very conflicting because I knew that yes, that's the case. I'm the only one that's doing it, but I'm also not going to stop.
Mhm.
So,
I gotta give you credit though too, because I've heard of people that are like, yeah, I really want to do this. They start doing it and then they stop doing it because they realize those people that weren't supportive kind of like isolated them or alienated them a little
yeah,
bit. So they stopped going after what they wanted to do just in order to kind of like be back in that community or back in that crowd or back feeling like they're not alone.
yeah.
And
And to anyone that's in that position, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but to
Mhm.
anyone that might be listening to this that's in that position, I want you to know that the bodybuilding world is so loving. Like every every community has its own ifs and ends, but I met you because
Mhm.
because we're both bodybuilders. I met my fiance, like not that he's a bodybuilder, but I met him at the gym. Like we
Mhm.
literally met at the gym
Yeah.
because we have a mutual friend who I met at the gym.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because there's not a single person in my life right now, from my esthetician to my clients to my fiance to my friends to you, like my bestest
Mhm.
friends. I met every one of those people I met because of either gym or fitness or wellness or something. So, although it might feel so scary to step away from people who are not in that, but you know that you want to be in that, you will find your people here. You
Yeah.
will find your people here, even if they're only online. Mandy and I have never met each other. Like, we never met each
I
other in person, which
know.
is crazy because you are truly like one of my best friends. Like I could name
Yeah.
off my hand, like literally one single hand, the closest people to me, and you were on that hand. So, and we have never met in person. We've
Which is
literally just been,
insane. We
which
gotta
is
fix
crazy.
that.
Oh no, we will. But like we've been like online besties and like
Yeah.
this, like we know everything about each other. And that just goes to say, like, if you are scared of taking that step away from people that you are comfortable with, but
Mhm.
you're just comfortable, like there's nothing else there, you're not pushing each other to be better, you're not supportive of each other in your dreams and your goals, you gotta get uncomfortable because,
Mhm.
and I don't want to speak for you, and I want to give you the floor, but I'm sure that there was a time in your life that you felt lonely, that you didn't have a lot of people around you, that you had to find your new circle, then find your
Mhm.
new people. Because I mean, I had that for, I don't know, probably like a year, probably a year where I just literally stayed to myself. And that's when I read like all my self-help books and
Mhm.
started learning about being a fitness coach and how to help other people and how to be better than myself and just like keep going. But it took having a buffer period of figuring my shit out and
Mhm.
what I would never settle for. Hence why there's not a single friendship that I have that is in any way, shape, or form a reflection of any of my friends from the past and anyone that I associated myself with in the past.
Yeah. No, dude, I
So,
love that you said that because, yeah, for anyone listening, I absolutely consider Sasha like one of my best friends, and it is so crazy to me that we haven't met yet. But
yeah, it's insane.
um, I love what you said because, I mean, even though you used it in bodybuilding context, it absolutely applies to literally any niche and literally any context at all, that there is going to be that transition buffer period that feels kind of shitty.
Yeah.
It's the caterpillar going into the chrysalis period before you can emerge from the cocoon, a beautiful butterfly. And that was a really corny analogy, but whatever. The whole point to that is like, I think for people trying to start something new and starting to feel lonely, instead of thinking about like what you're losing, the people you're losing, the comfortability that you're losing, you have to think about it in what am I gaining from this? So like how you're saying, everyone in my life that I'm close with now, I'm close with because I made this leap and this change, and now
Yeah.
all of these people are way more aligned with who I wanted to be as a person.
Yeah.
So you have so much to gain by getting like there
Exactly.
might be a little lonely period, but like your your vibe will attract your tribe. So just like stick it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to mention when you quote unquote lose people and like
Mhm.
people leave your life or you separate yourself from certain individuals. It's a good thing when you reframe it as I didn't lose them, but I'm making space for the people that do fit my life, who fit
Yeah.
me, who are meant for me, because you can't have your cake and eat it too. All right, like
Mhm.
you can't have everyone on the roster because at the end of the day, like right now, I could not imagine putting my friend group together and like my loved ones who I love with my whole entire heart and times infinity. I can't imagine putting them even within a mile distance of the people that I used to surround myself with. Like that is just
It's
we
wild.
are light years apart and that wouldn't have happened without that buffer period and without
Mhm.
waiting it out because there have been times when I was in that buffer period that I was like, you know what, like whatever. What if I do go off plan and like just go hang out with them and have a drink? And then I was
Mhm.
like, no, like no, that is just not that just
Mhm.
doesn't align with me right now. And that doesn't go to say that you can't have a drink. Like that's not the point. The point was like that just didn't fit in with me right then and there. And like that was
Mhm.
something that was like constantly on to me. And then it was just
Yeah.
so I
Your
would love to
body
hear
will
it. I would
know.
love to, your body will know, yeah, and you will know because you will start feeling weird around people. You'll start feeling
Mhm.
uncomfortable around people. You'll start getting bored. You
Mhm.
will literally start getting bored to the point where it's like you're talking about drama and this and that, and like that is just not, no. And like don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
girls, us girls, we could talk our shit here and there, but it's one thing to like live on that. And it's
Yeah.
another thing to like throw in a little like, oh, did you see what happened? Like, so it's it's a completely different ballgame, but I would love to hear about your experience because you have made such incredible and life-changing changes in your life from the time that I met you to now, and even before that, from like when you shared your story with me, even like the bits and pieces that I know. And I think that a lot of people, whatever you're comfortable with talking about, would love to hear how you've made, what your
Mhm.
transition phase was like and how you overcame that and how you felt during it.
Yeah. I mean, there is very little that I am not open to sharing, honestly, at this point in my life because I feel like just sharing what I've gone through is only going to be helpful for other people that might currently be going through something similar. I have been through so many transitions um that it's like I think I have every single journal I've ever had since I was 5 years old, and some of them
Oh my God.
I've tried to read and I can't. So I go back and forth about like, should I destroy these? Should I hold on to them? Because I just can't even like reconcile that I'm that same person. Um, and you know, with all those transitions, buffer periods, whatever we want to call them, I can pretty confidently say in like a very sad way that I have spent most of my life feeling some type of loneliness until recently. I have spent most of my life in a fawn state with my nervous system. So I would be in a place where I would shrink myself to make myself fit in with a group of friends that would be going out and drinking a lot, even though like I didn't like I always have felt very averse to it because my biological father was and still is to this day an alcoholic. So for me, I've only ever seen negative pretty much come from drinking. So I never really
Alcohol. Yeah.
super wanted to do it. But I felt like that is the only way that I am going to stay in this group of people, have friends, like, so that's something I have to do. Um, I felt that way a lot in my intimate relationships too. Like I have to do these things that I'm not really physically comfortable doing with this person, but if I don't do that, then they're going to leave me and I'm going to be alone. So I'm going to shrink myself
Mm.
and people please. And you know, bringing all of this up, I could have saved myself a lot of time and heartache if I had been brave enough to let myself feel the loneliness because the loneliness didn't go anywhere. It was always there even when I was shrinking myself because
Yeah.
I was somewhere I knew I didn't really belong and I just wasn't brave enough to take that step yet. Um, and I'm not mad. I've done a lot of healing. I'm happy that things turned out the way they did because I wouldn't be who I am today. Also super cliche, but like genuinely I so mean it. But if anybody is in that period right now where you feel like lost. You feel alone. You're like, I don't know how to act around these people. I'm just going to keep doing what's comfortable. Like, I would also ask you, like, ask yourself, are you really comfortable or is it comfortable because it's predictable? Because I think that's
Yeah.
something that also deters people. Um, I think I've shared this before numerous times. Like, my biggest turning point was getting divorced. And I feel really fortunate in that, and I mean, people are going to take this the way they want to take it, and I don't mean it in a flippant way, but I feel extremely fortunate that I was not in love with my ex-husband because that made the divorce
Mm.
process much easier. It was hard. It was hard as hell. But I
Yeah.
do truly feel for those people that have that extra emotional layer to it. But after I got divorced, I was like, what didn't feel good about all that, the situation, how we were living. And I was like, I'm not healthy. I was drinking a lot of martinis, a lot of Cosmos, like going through bottles of them, like vodka. Um, I had no self-esteem. I just like, I didn't feel good. So in my brain, I was like, the solution to this problem is getting a butt. Like literally it was that superficial. I don't even know why in my brain I'm like, if I could just like build some glutes, didn't even work out every day, but in my brain I'm like, watch, okay, I'm gonna get some glutes. That's gonna fix my problems. But um it was literally that superficial reason that like gave me that first nudge to be brave and to try and go into the gym and do that. So anyone listening, just like take that first brave step. You're gonna be uncomfortable no matter what, but the payout is like why wouldn't you buy the $5 lottery ticket if you were almost guaranteed to win $1 million jackpot?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Quite literally.
Yeah. So I've that's kind of crazy thinking about it now. Like I really have been Uh, okay. I don't want to cry, but honestly, yeah, I have been lonely most of my life until recently, until like the last, like probably my 30s. Silly.
And first of all, I love you.
I love
And
you too.
thank you for sharing that. And I want to flip the idea of loneliness from a negative
Mhm.
idea to a positive because I think that the word lonely has such a negative connotation. It's like, I'm lonely, I'm by myself, I'm upset, I'm this, I'm that, I have no one around me. But in the times, and I'm speaking totally for myself, so this might
Mhm.
have not been the case for you, but when I was lonely, yes, I spent a lot of time being like upset about the fact that I was lonely and like fighting it. But when I stopped fighting it and I started learning how to enjoy my own company, how to enjoy being by myself, how to be okay with being alone, how to keep
Mhm.
myself busy, not busy in the sense of like not dealing with my shit, but like keep myself
Mhm.
busy in the sense of I started reading books again. I started enjoying sitting on the couch and reading a book. I started, whether it's a self-help book or a fiction book, or I started picking up on things that I haven't done in a long time and just getting more creative, like being more creative again and finding things that I like to do, whether it's doodling or editing like now it's editing content and having that phase of loneliness and learning how, like it's not easy, but when you learn how to be okay with being alone, that not only gives you the complete and utmost stability within yourself, but it also, and again, I speak for myself, but it's poured so much into my relationships to where if my fiance wants to go have dinner with a friend and he hasn't done like that happens once in a blue moon, I'm not sitting at home like, oh, I'm lonely. I'm upset that he's gone. Like, of course, I want to spend time with him. I told him, I was like, if you could shrink me in your pocket and put me in your pocket and take me around with you everywhere, like, I'm going. But because I've learned how to be so almost like secure with being
Hmm.
alone and by myself and learned how to enjoy that, it's like when he leaves, I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll crack open a book. I'll play with like
Hmm.
I'll find something to do to where, yeah, of course I miss him. I want to see him. I want to hang out with him, but I don't feel I'm not like on him like, oh, what time are you going to be home? And when are you this?
Yeah.
And when are you that? Like, I'm upset that you're gone. Like, there's none of that. And that goes for friendships. Like, I'm not going crazy when I don't see my friends for a period of time because I know that we all have our own lives. Like, that phase of loneliness taught me so much about myself that I hated being by myself so much because it forced me to look so much inwards of how much, I guess, in a lighter word, like trauma I had with being alone. And for
Hmm.
me, that could have been from like abandonment, from like family when I was very young. That could have been from past relationships and being not treated very well or friendships or whatever. But yeah, being lonely really sucked. But once I became okay with being lonely and started enjoying it almost like, wow,
Hmm.
okay, this is cool. Like I get to do something by myself. And like I like doing things by myself. It's now, oh, not I'm lonely, but it's, oh, I'm hanging out with me.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what I mean? And that, if in the past, like if in the past you had bad, you had bad periods of time with being lonely, that's okay. Like that's, that brought you to where you are now. That brought you to being who you are today, to where you can literally sit at your desk by yourself, doing your things, doing your work, whatever, hanging out. And like you can also then flip. So when Colin comes home, you can hang out with him. Like there isn't that
hmm.
it's one or the other. It's now you can do both, which maybe in the past, maybe you wouldn't have been able to do that. So that served its purpose. And you are now in a place where you will truly never be lonely again because you know that you have you,
Right. No, yeah, Sash,
you know,
that's a good point. You're right. Because
you know.
lonely and loneliness does have that like negative connotation, I think, because most people will just kind of slip into the victim mindset with it. But and I definitely had those periods. Don't even, girl, like
Ditto.
that's why I can't read my journals. I look back and I'm like, get
Yeah.
out of your head, bitch. But like now, like I also realized that that loneliness was my body's way and my nervous system's way of being like, hey, nudge, nudge, like this isn't for you. Like you got to go out and find what's for you. And I get excited. Like same thing, don't get me wrong. I love spending time with Colin, but when I have time to myself, I'm also like, hell yeah.
Like,
Now I
what am
can
I gonna
like
do right now?
yeah, I mean, he's so used to me like going around the house singing like nonsense, but like when I'm alone, like he was leaving for school last night for night class, and he was like, "Yeah, I did the dishes so you can have some time to yourself, angel man." And he's like, "Maybe this would be a good time for you to watch 50 Shades Darker because I almost put it on the other night." And he was like, "I don't want to watch this." And so he's like, that's his way of telling me. He's like, "Yeah, you should definitely watch that tonight." And in his head, he's like, "So I don't have to watch that bullshit
Yeah,
later."
yeah, yeah.
So I'm sure like you also get that same way, and I'm sure Age feels the same way too, where it's like you need your alone time and it's healthy, but um yeah. All that had a line of thought there, but basically all that to say is you're right. There is so many lessons to be found in that loneliness when you lean into it and you actually do enjoy yourself and time with yourself.
And you
It
also learn what you don't like. Like that gives you time to think.
Mhm.
And again, personal experience, but I think I spend like my a very large chunk of my very short so far life running around and just doing everything that I possibly could to not have to sit and think about
Hmm.
me and like what I actually like and what I want to do and what I don't want to do, what I'm okay with, what I'm not okay with. Like I was kind of just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, sure, go with the flow, whatever. This works. They said that this is okay. This is again the people pleasing, the like
Hmm.
I wouldn't have found out about myself that I actually don't like doing that, or I actually don't enjoy being around these people. Like that makes me feel icky. Like I
Hmm.
wouldn't have been able to even think about that or get to that had I not had that alone time. Because when you're constantly doing things, when you're constantly on the go, when you're constantly keeping yourself busy, you don't actually have time to sit and like reflect on anything,
Hmm.
on the choices that you make during the day, on the people that you surround yourself with. And that was like that loneliness
Hmm.
happened shortly after my transition from hanging out and like I was already separating myself from a lot of people, but when I made like the really huge leaps of all right, this that certain relationship is over with, move to a different state, stop being friends with everyone that I knew pretty much up until that age and just like completely changed my life. The loneliness came right after. So
Hmm.
it's huge life shifts and now I'm in a different state and I'm sure, divorce happened and then it's like it's almost like I don't recognize my life. And that was like, that's difficult because whether it's you're living in your hometown and you don't recognize your life because of the person that you're becoming, and that's a completely different person, or you're moving to a different state or a different country or a different city or whatever. Like in my
Hmm.
case, it was a different state where I knew almost pretty much no one. And I was just literally like, start from scratch. Like, I don't even know how to drive to the grocery store right now. Like, I have to use Google Maps for it. And like, I'm also not good with directions, but that gave me the chance and the ability to dig so deep to where, like I mentioned, there is not a single person in my life right now that doesn't align with me. And like if it comes up that someone crosses into my life, whether it's a friend or whether it's someone on social
Hmm.
media or whatever, that I could like this pick out like, I'll say hi and bye to you, but like we're not gonna be friends. Like I know that you're not in my circle. Like we can be social media mutuals or whatever, but it's like this, like it's instant. Whereas a couple like 5 years ago, I would have come on in, let's be friends, let's all try to do
Hmm.
things together. Like now it's very selective now because I know where my standards are because I had that
Yeah.
self-reflection period.
Can I just say,
Yeah,
having
you
known
can.
you, as long as I have, and I just have seen such a like evolution and such a glow up in like specifically in your confidence since we first met, like you doing that first bodybuilding show, like for anybody who is new or doesn't really know the backstory of how Sasha and I met, we were working with the same coach, and we met on the group calls that the coach would host. And Sasha and I at the same time were pretty much both doing like heading into our first bodybuilding show, which you
Yeah.
think would like give us a lot to connect on, but instead we like there was kind of like a little distance there. Um,
Yeah.
and like meeting you in that context and like seeing you were a little bit more reserved and like would still hear your stories on those calls, like how I met you back then versus like where you are now with your confidence and just like your spark and the people you surround yourself with, like it's just it's like what, what the fuck? This is so cool. Like
Thank you. And
just
the same goes to you because I watched that same thing happen with you. And when you met me is when I was in that loneliness.
yeah.
Like when I started working with that coach is when I was like, all right, I'm doing something from like that was maybe like month 6 or 7 into
Mhm.
being lone wolf over here. Like it was And it's actually crazy because a lot of that, what you're saying, like, my confidence and everything, that took being lonely and more so than surrounding myself with people who believed in me and like made me feel good about who I am and like let me be my authentic, unhinged self. Because this, you would not be getting any of this had I not been surrounded by the people that I'm surrounded by,
Mhm.
very specifically fiance,
Mhm.
you, my current coach, like people who light you up, not dim you down. And I think we both spend a good chunk of our lives being around people who dimmed us down, whether it was because they were intimidated by us or they didn't want to see our full potential, or maybe to their, I don't know the right word. I'm
Sure.
thinking of it, but it's on the tip of my tongue. But to their whatever, maybe
Credit.
they just didn't even, to their credit, maybe they didn't even see our full potential because they just didn't care to. And versus now, we're surrounded by people who do
Hmm.
and who encourage us to be us.
Hmm.
And that is beautiful and incredible. But that is a result of going through all the shit and coming out on the other side. Like when it
Mm.
rains, it pours. Like that loneliness is the pouring. But then flowers start to bloom, which is the now.
Yeah. Let the rain fall down.
It's like the
Okay.
caterpillar butterfly, but with me, it's always the raining and the pouring, you
Yeah.
know?
No, that is excellent. I love that so much. I love that. Thank you for sharing everything. This is an awesome place to wrap up, but basically everyone that has tuned in and listened, too long, didn't listen, skipping to the the little like show markers. It's okay to be lonely. That's where you're going to grow. The people that you are leaving behind, that's not a loss. You are making room for people that are more aligned with you, that are going to help you grow, help you be more confident, help you pretty much thrive where you feel like you truly belong. So being lonely is a very necessary part of those buffer and transition periods. So again, everyone that was listening, thank you so much for joining the lovely Sasha and I. Again, we'll drop our Instagram handles in the show notes. Please like, comment, subscribe, talk to us. Obviously, we love talking, so do it.
We could talk. We could talk.
Yeah. And stay tuned for our next episodes. Bye.
Bye.